PM for Southwest Economic Development. New advice.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Backwards. Roll call.
From the Imperial Gonzalez, Director of Finance, the City of Juan.
Martha Patterson, Administrator Assistant.
Benjamin Castillo, attorney.
Jorge Garcia, Interim EDC Director.
Chela Ramirez, Board Member.
Neto Oaxaca, Board Member. Marco Villegas, President.
Jessica Ramirez, Secretary Treasurer.
Pete Garcia, Board Member. Okay. First thing on the agenda, the discussion of possible action on all the following matters. Consideration and approval of the annual audited financial report for fiscal year 2024.
Mr. Gonzalo is here.
Good evening, gentlemen.
And good evening. I guess I don't need a mic. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Luis Orozco, and with me is Mr. Jesus Moncayo. Mr. Moncayo is the one that actually conducted pretty much the entire audit that we're about to present. The audit is for the year ended September 30th, 2024. Obviously, we understand there's a lot of information that is included in this audit report. What we're going to do is we do have an outline of the major components that we'd like to show you, and maybe just discuss some of the items that are included in some of those schedules. If you feel you have a question regarding any of the numbers, just feel free to stop us or ask us a question. Excuse me?
Anything out of the ordinary or anything like that?
Pretty much everything's going to be a normal presentation, quick presentation actually on the main items. And but I just want to make a disclosure again. We're doing the presentation. It's going to be a summary of it. I'll start with the main component and the audit report, and then Mr. Moncayo will cover some of the numbers. I do understand Mr. Moncayo met with some of your financial management individuals over these numbers. We do have, and if for any reason you do have a question after the presentation, you can always send us an email or call us to our office. We're more than glad to discuss any of the items. And as you know already, this particular report will be included on your main audit that is going to be included for the city. With that in mind, I would like to direct your attention to page number 1, and that is the Independent Auditor's Report. And we're gonna basically just focus on the first section of it, the one that is labeled opinion. And there is a couple of paragraphs there. Focusing maybe on the first one, indicated to you, we've audited the financial statements of the governmental activities of the Economic Development Corporation of San Juan, and some for the year ended 2024, and they're related also to the financial statements. I want to make a disclosure. This is the second year that we do the audit. We did the audit also for the year 2023. This particular report also does a little bit of comparison with the current year and then the previous year. Last year, we hadn't done the audit for the year 22, so we didn't include any notations. The only thing that we need to include in there is that we do have the numbers for the year 23. We're not presenting the year 23. We're not doing the audit for the year 23, but just to include it in there it should read 2024 and 2023. But again, we're doing the audit for the year 24. The second paragraph says, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly the financial position of the San Juan EDC as of September 30th, 2024, and the related financial statement positions and the accompanying also schedules, and according to what we call our standards. What that particular paragraph means is that we are issuing what we call it an unmodified opinion. The unmodified opinion basically means that it is the cleanest opinion that you can get on a set of financial statements. Also within also those items of the cleanest opinion is there are some what we call some parameters, some limitations that we They would like to also include to you that we do the audit based on what we consider some risk assessments, sample basis, and some of our transactions that we consider material. We do not audit every single transaction, every single program, or every single section of what we call it, of the financial statements. But based on what we have seen and what we have audited, basically we have no reservation in issuing what we call this particular opinion. So it's a clean opinion. It's the best opinion that you can get on a set of financial statements with those limitations. And that is my best explanation that I can do about it, what we consider it's an unmodified opinion.
Okay.
Okay. Did he need to be present?
No, but just for the record, Mayor Ronnie, that's George Lewis.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The rest of the particular items is basically standard language that we need to include in the opinion. The main component you just saw right now is in the opinion on the financial statements, and we are issuing an unmodified opinion of it. Mr. Mancaya will cover what we call the rest of we'll consider some numbers and maybe just like another summary of what we consider a little bit of compliance section of it, and I'll leave it to him.
Good afternoon. All right. If I might direct your attention to page 12. Here is the comparative balance sheet for the year 2024 and 2023. I'm going to be focusing on totals under the 2024 column. Again, page 12 of the report. For the year 2024, we had total assets of $3,691,515. The majority of that is compromised within your cash and your investments. There is an amount in there due from primary government of $1.1 million. That is the portion that the EDC contributed to the city for the construction of the city hall. That's why we have it as a receivable. It will not be closed until the full construction of the city hall is completed. So you'll see that item in there on the net possession portion. But I'll explain a little bit right now, a little bit further on that. So total assets again, $3,691,515. Total liabilities, $10,276. And then we go down to 3/4 of the page. The total fund balance for the year is $3,681,239. Out of that fund balance.
Page 12 and your page 12 are different.
You know something, he meant to say page 13.
Oh, sorry, 13.
It's page 13.
I'll go based on yours. Oh, okay, yeah. Or I guess page 13.
But you have it.
Yeah, the numbers are correct, just the page number get a little bit different. Again, total fund balance is $3,681,239. Out of that fund balance, $2,483,364 is unassigned fund balance. We do have that $1.1 million assigned in the capital project. That's the portion I mentioned earlier, the due from primary government for the city hall construction. And then the rest is for your debt service. The $60,336 is for the payment of your debt you have for your bonds. And that's pretty much your balance sheet for the year 2024. I'd like to move on to your income statement, which is on page
15.
Page 15. And again, I'm going to be going over the column 2024. Total revenues for the year, $1,780,218. The majority of that on your sales tax. There was a 5% increase in your sales tax from last year to this year. Investment earnings, you did have also about a 25% increase on your investment earnings from the prior year to the current year. We go down to total expenditures, about 3/4 of the way down. We had total expenditures for the year were $1,420,223. That was about a 4% decrease from the prior year, so we had a little bit less of operating expenses in there. Some of it has to do with, if you go up to the section that says rental fees, There was a decrease in rental fees because it was when the EDC moved over to the city hall. So there was some savings in there. Overall for the year, if we go back down 3/4 of the page, excess revenues over expenses, there was a total net income of $359,996. That means a plus for the year. You started off the year with $3,321,243, and you ended up the year with $3,681,239, the fund balance I mentioned earlier. If we go back again to the page 13, to your unassigned fund balance I mentioned, the $2,483,364. Another way you can interpret that is you have about a year and a half of operating expenses in your unassigned fund balance. So that's a very good fund balance you have in there. And that's pretty much what we call the regular financial statements. This is a governmental agency. It does go through a conversion where we add your fixed assets and your long-term debt into the organization to make it like a for-profit business, like a regular business type of presentation. And that is on page A1, this is page 10?
Page 10.
10, okay.
Before you move on.
Yes.
On page 15, I know you made reference to the rental fees, the $90,998. Is
Yes.
that what we're currently paying to the city, or no?
No, that was only, I believe, 1 or 2 months within the fiscal year that you were still in the previous,
Before
the official.
The current goes under what, line item?
There is no current expenses.
We are paying? How does it go into the budget?
We don't pay for the building. It's in the bond.
So
So
does it reflect in our,
The bond.
It doesn't meet you with the.
it has to do with the 1.1 million I mentioned earlier. That's the contribution the EDC made to own that piece of the city hall. So they don't have to pay rent.
so on that is
Yes.
Yes, we own it. We own it.
Yes.
Very good, all right,
Yes.
thank you, sir.
Page 10, this is the statement of net position. Like I said, this including all your fixed assets and your long-term debt. Total assets for the year, again, I'm reading off the 2024 column, $4,185,313. We had deferred outflows related to your pension plan of $9,515, which gives us total assets and deferred outflows of $4,194,828. We go down to your total liabilities, $2,686,282, and here you'll see it's a lot bigger number than the other financials we include into your bonds. We have some deferred inflows related to your pension plan, $3,637. We go down to your net position. It's another word for fund balance. You can consider that. Total net position of $1,504,909. Out of that, unrestricted is $954,327. So it's pretty much the net worth of the EDC. You can consider it as a $1,504,909 if it was considered like a for-profit business. And that's pretty much the summary of the financial statements themselves. I don't know if there's any other questions I can answer in that regard.
Anybody else have any?
Well, what's still standing there, we have?
That will be on page 10. If you go to non-current liabilities, about the middle of the page, it's a due within 1 year. You have a $235,000 of current payments, and then bonds outstanding, $2,420,000.
Okay, on page 34, you have the balance due of 440. Is that the commitments that we have?
Let's see.
Page 34.
The notes.
34.
Oh, under commitments, yes. Those are for the economic incentives. That's the outs.
Where does that reflect on page 10?
What you'll see is what was paid during the current year. And then the balance due is not a liability because they might not meet the requirements every year. So we don't record that liability until it's actually incurred for the year.
But we still have it outstanding there.
Correct, yes. It'll be, I guess it's outstanding if they meet the requirements to get that incentive on an annual basis.
Right. So when you page 10, it would be reflecting what you just said?
The 100,000 is reflected on your expenses. If we go to page 15, it'll be in there under economic incentives. It'll be about around the middle of the page.
Yeah, the 100,000.
Yeah, that's a business.
No, it's all of these together, what has been paid out.
Well, it's been paid, there was 440.
It's pending.
And see, pending, yeah, so I wanted to get a picture, what is out there that we have committed, even though they have to perform.
Correct.
To be paid, but we still haven't, we have it there in the books, that we have committed to that.
So one of these businesses, they're no longer in operation.
So that'd be, yeah,
So that money just goes back to you.
yeah, they wouldn't meet the contract requirements for that liability.
So that's 100,000 right there.
Any other questions?
So we're pretty much okay.
Yes.
We're better than okay.
Yeah, that's what the next report I want to cover on page 45.
Which page?
45. Edit one more.
It's, yeah, no, it's 45.
On page 45. This here is pretty much a summary of the whole report itself. You want a quick summary of the report, you go to this page right here. It starts off with the opinion on the financial statements. As Mr. Orozco mentioned, it's an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, which is the cleanest opinion. You get a set of financial statements. And then we're indicating that there are no deficiencies, no findings. So that's pretty much a summary of the report where there are no reportable items for the audit.
Quick question.
Yes.
Going back on page 34, microburgers, on the incentives, I see here you take the current 5,000 and then balance due, you have a negative on there. Or maybe Bible. So can you, what do you mean?
It's zero.
So we don't owe them anything?
Right.
Yeah, it was the last payment that was made to them. I do want to note also, if you see that AX and XM subcontractors, there was a zero payment there, but because the payment didn't meet the requirements until after the fiscal year ended. The last line item that says paid in the current year zero, there is an outstanding balance in there. Normally, you were paying out that within 365 days within your fiscal year, but they didn't meet the requirements until after your fiscal year ended. So that's why we'll see that zero for the current year, but you'll see an annual payment being done for that balance. I believe it's...
Leroy, do you know what that is? AX and M subcontract?
It's the door, the van by here by the expressway.
Oh, okay.
The frontage road.
Yes.
So we named it the door, that's the one.
So it was paid after
Yeah,
the year, okay.
because we were waiting for the documented.
Sí,
So that they can meet the requirements.
Now he's still over
Yes.
on the next.
Correct.
I think those payments are really, and like when we approve the budget, and then that's why sometimes we don't get to pay with the same budget of that year to the home.
Right.
Because it's right there when we are approving the budget.
Quick question, Mr. Chair, if I may just ask for clarification. Your audit is for last budget year, right, not current?
It's for the year 9/30/2024.
What, say that again, 9/30?
September 30, 2024.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So these numbers that you guys are looking at are for last year?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's what we're asking, what has been paid of those 440,000, and if that's been paid already, so that's close to that 340.
But you didn't look at the numbers for this year, so you don't know.
No, but one thing you can do is the current payments are pretty much split up. So whatever you paid in the current year is pretty, you can divide that with whatever's left over. So that's going to be more or less your annual payments for those. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was the next one. So basically what we've done is we've covered the opinion letter and then some of the numbers on some of your financial statements. And just to indicate a little summary at the end, There is another letter that we are presenting to you. We are presenting it. But when is that okay to move from the audit report to the letter, or do you still have any questions regarding the audit?
Do you have any questions from the board? Go ahead.
Okay.
I think it's passed out already with the packet. It's a
Did we give
separate-
you the letter? Basically, that's the letter. Okay. So that letter indicates that we are concluding the audit. There's 3 sections in there. The more important, one of them is that we had any disagreements with management. We indicated in the letter that we didn't have any disagreements. Any particular adjustments or anything that we consider material, I guess, to the financial statement, we are included in the letter. And also, if there's anything that we indicated that is also important to let you know, we also indicated in there we don't have any other comments to indicate. This particular letter basically concludes the audit. I did mention to you that if for any reason you still have questions or you still want to basically go over and any particular item on the audit report, just, send us an email, give us a call, and then we'll be glad to answer those questions.
One of the things that's on here, one of the statements that's on here, significant difficulties encountered. It says no significant difficulties, but did you encounter any difficulties?
Not whatsoever, otherwise we would include it in there.
That's what I want to know.
I do want to mention staff was very cooperative throughout the whole engagement.
And as you know, right now, the numbers will be added into your main report for the city. So we are working with them as far as giving them all this data. Well, I don't know, they probably already have it, right?
They should, yeah.
Okay.
Looks pretty good then, so any other questions, guys? Not for now, I guess we have questions, we'll reach out right away. Each of us going over it and stuff like that. So appreciate it, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything do we need to,
Yes, motion to approve.
So second, we have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Costa.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who did the motion first? Okay. Thank you.
For the management letter, did you give the management letter, the recommendation letter?
Yes, Mr. Villegas has it.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as he signs it, I'm going to scan it out for the DD.
Okay, thank you.
So this moving on. The San Juan Economic Development Corporation will convene an executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, wherein statutes and codes, annotated government code, chapter 551.072, consultation with attorney, and the Texas government code 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. And do we have a motion to enter executive session? Second. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're now going into executive session at 5:25 p.m. We're going to reconvene from executive session. Do we have a motion now? Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're now reconvening at 5:56. Go ahead.
With a motion to approve
The motion-
an executive session?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve as discussed in executive session.
He made the motion.
You make it? Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Martha, you got that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Reconvene. We have a motion for, we have a motion, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned at 5:56 p.m.